Revisting going on in the neighborhood. Why do we see much further than we should? You're sick of the lies, sick of the lies. Who you gonna call when you get on the line? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 If there ain't no curve, there ain't no ball. The globe religion about to fall. We're gonna open your eyes so you can see who you gonna call if you wanna be free. GLOBEBUSTERS! 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 Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Who you gonna call? Yeah! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS! GLOBEBUSTERS!
And welcome everybody to GLOBEBUSTERS. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of GLOBEBUSTERS Tech. I am your host, Zach. Good times for all, and today we will be revisiting the moon. I know the last time we had a discussion about the moon, there was quite a bit more discussions going on in chat about even other things, and we asked if you would like us to keep continuing to talk about the moon, because I mean, all of us on the panel have researched it quite a bit, and we could talk about it for hours, and it was kind of overwhelming. Yes, let's just keep talking about the moon. So we apologize for missing last week. I was having a toothache, and those are no fun. I know there was one other member that had a arrangement that they had as well. But we're back, and we're going to dive right into the moon. But before we do, we're going to say hello to everybody on the panel. And we're going to start off with Mr. Kyle Adams. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir?
Well, my channel's definitely seen better days. Last week, YouTube deleted my YouTube channel. So if people have been looking for me, I'm still around. I'm alive. And so, yeah, and in the very same day, they also deleted my Facebook channel. So both gone in the same day. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm.
Tell me that's
I'm
not organized. Yeah.
Yeah, that was for sure organized. And so, yeah, I am up and fighting. And so it's giving me a little bit of time to think about what I'm going to do different going on from here. And I'll tell you, I'm going to be taking a page out of Mark Sargent's book, and that is go everywhere. And so back before, while I was still getting monetized with YouTube, it was pretty seclusive to just YouTube. But as I said, I'm taking a page out of Mark Sargent's book from here going out, and I am just going everywhere. Brighteon, BitChute, Rumble, just wherever I can go. And so, yeah, I haven't quite reached out to Odyssey yet, and I'm still working on that part, but that's one of my big goals that I've got going on right now. It's mainly been on Brighteon lately. That's that I'm kind of getting started. I'm kind of testing the waters to the different platforms out there. And the other thing that I'm planning on doing is taking another page out of, believe it or not, Conspiracy Castle's book. And so, because with him, he had the right idea about kind of getting the word out there. And I don't agree with his whole thing about throwing Flat Earth under the bus at the last second. We'll not go there. But I really liked his approach when it comes to getting the public's attention, when it comes to making in-person appearances. Like he was out there talking to Congress members, right? Was it Congress members, or at least, you know, big public officials, and kind of saying, hey, what's up? And yeah, he had a real knack for that. And so that's really what launched his platform to where it is today. And so for me, that's going to be a lot more in public personal appearances, both at college campuses, going out on the street, doing a lot more activism. And yeah, like if I'm not doing something that's going to be newsworthy, then I'm doing something wrong. So that's kind of one of my big ambitions right there, is to do something that the news will not ignore. And so,
Well, yeah, I was wondering if there was a site out yet that would take a video that you make, you could give it to this site, and they put it on every platform.
yeah, StreamYard, this is one that does that. I think there's another one that will do that also, that will just kind of upload it to multiple platforms. It'd certainly save me a lot more time if I did that. Yeah. But lately I've just been kind of doing individual platforms, and yeah. But it's kind of interesting to see how different it is, kind of how much it's changed just starting up a new channel right now compared to the way it was when I very first started getting my YouTube channel going. Because yeah, you upload a video on YouTube right now, and like it doesn't recommend it to anyone at all. It's like you can have a video up there. I've been doing this challenge, the 10-day challenge, where I upload a new video every day for 10 days to see which channel gets more views, or on which platform gets more views. Right now, Brighteon is the winner on that one. But when it comes to YouTube, it's like zero for, and that was never really my strategy before going with YouTube. Was I already knew that YouTube wasn't going to recommend my videos, and so I started launching it elsewhere. I started going through Facebook, and because Facebook was like my primary outlet when it comes to getting views, and so just sharing my channel around through Facebook, and YouTube knew that. They could see that in the algorithms and the statistics, is saying, okay, where are all your views coming from? Because we're not giving them to you. And so it was interesting. So I don't know, but
yeah, I gave up on Facebook back in 2011. After, I think it was when Obama signed the NDAA Act. And I was posting on it like every day, multiple times a day, as I was reading through it and letting people know. And then all of a sudden, my buddy's like, "Why'd you quit posting?" I was like, "I didn't quit posting." And I went and looked at his thing and pulled up my page, and like my last 10 posts, he didn't even see. They were just not even posted.
Wow.
Where he could see it. And I was like, all right, I'm done with Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of like a total shadow ban.
Yeah.
So
you think you're doing it for a long time. Yeah, they have been. If you're over a target they don't want to be talked about, especially if you get the interest of somebody in that organization, maybe. Then they're gonna. Yeah. So well, good luck with that, Kyle. I hope your videos get back out there and can be seen by some people. I know you put a lot of work into them.
Yeah, and I'm thankful I have all my backups there. So it's just kind of one of those things that really kind of gets you going and gets you in the fighting spirit, and so it's good. It's good for you. It's a opportunity to grow, and it lets you know that you've got the other side rattled, right? And so that's something I can kind of shout victory over. I'm not just it's a real fight that's going on, I'll tell you that much. And and something like this just gets you fighting all the more.
There you go. All right, well, next up we have Miss Karen B. Karen, do you have any hair left? I know we're so close, and I know you're like up to here with everything. It's like every year this time of year, unless I have something really cool to share with Karen, I don't send her. I don't bother her. I know she's, So how are you, ma'am?
I'm doing all right. It's good. I definitely have a lot of last minute stuff to do. But it's good. We're good. We're gonna have a great time.
Yes, we are. I'm so excited. Yeah, I think I even had a dream about it. I have
Did you?
Yeah, I have like memories of Vegas now, like that come So I know it had to be a dream because I've never been there. But at least my image of what Vegas was going to be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I
That's
had a dream
interesting.
about it.
How do you envision Vegas?
Sam's Town, like
Sam's
walking up to
Town.
Sam's Town. That's the vision I keep getting, like Sam's Town from the street view, like sidewalk view, walking up to it.
Mm-hmm.
I keep getting that, and then I keep seeing groups of people that, I've seen a lot of these people many, many times now, but I'm seeing them in a different place. It's like my envisionment of what the inside of Sam's Town kind of look like, and I have no clue.
It's like Old West theme.
That's awesome.
It's a wild, wild west.
Idiot.
I wonder if I've been there before. It's like Yosemite Yosemite Sam has a presence there or something like that with the theme. It's been a long time.
Well, I'm glad that it's not too hectic for you, because I know these are stressful. When you throw a big event like this, unless you've done it, you have no idea. I have no idea. I just know from watching Karen all these years doing these. And yeah, I can't wait to see you right after it's done.
Me
Because
either.
you look so just like, yeah, I can't wait. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. Flattoberfest, I believe I have we'll just go over it real quick. It's going to be in Vegas this year, 2023, Saturday and Sunday, October 21st and 22nd. Starts at 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. both days. You guys know who's going to be there. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Not hosted by Rick Hummer. I still haven't changed that thumbnail. I'm so bad. But
It's
he
okay.
won't be. It's going
Yeah.
to be hosted now by me and Mark Sargent, basically, is what's going to happen.
Awesome.
Mark Sargent is sharing hosting responsibilities
Well,
with
he's a
me.
great host, so.
He's a very great host. I think it will be maybe the beginning of a new trend.
I like it.
Mark's like, no. But no, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have live music. We're going to have lots of presenters. And it's international. We've got Dave Murphy coming from the UK and Mark Devlin coming from the UK. And we have Amanda Vollmer coming from Canada. So that's officially international. And we do have people who are going to come and attend international.
Didn't
They're
I hear
not
something
like,
New Zealand or something like that?
yeah, I mean, they're not content I'm not going to like expose people or anything like that. But when I've watched some of the tickets come in over time, I'm like, oh, wow. There's going to be even international attendees. And there's going to be international speakers. There's going to be people from all over. It is going to be it's gonna have the very same feel as like the very first Flat Earth conference, like 2017, if anybody remembers that, where it wasn't super huge, but we had international speakers, we had international attendees, and it was just a beautiful thing. It's gonna be like that. I really feel like it's gonna be very similar to that. Anybody who attended the very first 2017 conference, it'll be just like that. And so I hope you all can be there. It's going to be fantastic.
I know. I can't wait.
Also, we're going to have a sound bath. Anybody, there's a man who's going to be joining us who was at some of the past conferences, and he's actually held some pretty large Flat Earth events himself in Utah. He's a really cool dude. His name's Chad Davis, and he's going to be doing a sound bath for us Sunday in the beginning of the day. I think I can't wait for that. That's one thing that I'm really looking forward to, because once I knew that we had a flat earther with us that did sound baths like that, I was like, oh, my friend, you must come to the event and do one for everybody all at once, like an entire room. And he's always been down for it. It's just been really hard for him to do it. So now that we're closer to where he lives, and it's within driving distance for him, he can bring all of his equipment and do that. So I really encourage everybody who's attending the event to make sure that you make it to the very beginning of Sunday, day 2. And this goes into the whole, please pace yourself in Las Vegas because the flat earthers love to party. You guys, don't deny it. I've seen it. The first event I throw is like, oh no, they won't be drinking that much. No, the people were like, honey, that bar was busy AF. I was like, okay. So just pace yourself, take it easy, and make sure that you guys show up to the very beginning of day 2 for that sound bath, because I have a feeling that's going to be one of the highlights of the event. I'm just saying.
That's
Just saying.
awesome. Yeah.
This is my 5th event. Or actually 6th. 5th Flattoberfest. So, and I know of what I speak. Yes, stay off the strip, says Daryl Davis. Yes. Yes.
You won't catch me there.
You don't need to, you guys will not need to get anybody, a lot of people who hate Las Vegas are going to be showing up because you don't have to worry about being stuck in Vegas and having to do Vegas things because we are there, right? You're coming to hang with your people. So don't worry about it. You're not going to get stuck in the casino. You're not going to get stuck losing money. You're going to be having a fantastic time.
Yeah, I
That
don't
I
plan
can
on
guarantee.
leaving Samstown.
No, you
Once
won't
I
have
get
to.
there,
Unless
it
you
is-
have to stay outside of Samstown because you weren't able to book a room. Maybe you waited too long and you weren't able to get a room at Samstown. But outside of that, yeah, you won't have to. You don't have to worry about any of the outside stuff.
And every one of these conferences that I've stayed at a hotel, I got about 3 hours of sleep a night, maybe. It's like leave about 3 or 4 and say goodbye to everybody, and then 7 o'clock you got all this energy and it's like, okay, let's go, let's get breakfast before it's and then start the day. It's wild the amount of energy that you have when you're at one of these things. It's so cool.
Yeah. And
This
the
is
event,
why Karen, so brilliant. She's going to start it at noon because we do that. In the first few hours, everybody is completely dazed, confused from the night before and that. So no, she's got that part covered. You're really getting this. I know every year you say that this is going to be the last year because of how, I don't know if people in the audience are aware, but if you put on an event like this, and I'm trying to think of the events in the Americas that I haven't gone to because I've done all of the Flat Earth International conferences. I did the one in Canada. I've done all of the Flattoberfests and the Solar Return. And the energy and the buzz that you feel, you again, sleeping is hard. It's magical. It takes over you. But the amount of trouble carrying or any of the event people get, even working on it beforehand, if everybody wants to present and everybody's pretty much thoughts on it is you've got 2 days to do it. You have to keep it interesting. So you have to pick and choose. And it's not meant to hurt feelings, but people that are not invited, that does not mean that there's gatekeeping going on. People that are not, in other words, the talks are not, this particular one is Flattoberfest. It's all about flat Earth. If your topics are not about flat Earth, she's tried to keep it in that direction with a little bit of Amanda and that outside of it because we cross over. But again, you can't please everybody and it's really impossible to think that you can. And so attacking the people doing it or throwing shade in that because it's not exactly what you want or it's not where you want it to be or it shouldn't be in Las Vegas or it shouldn't be, again, we're just trying to make a fun event and get everybody together. And I think it's well needed. I know that my heart and soul is looking forward to it. I don't have my reserves are gone, but knowing the energy when we all get together and what happens, it's keeping me going. That's why I'm showing up even tonight is knowing Flattoberfest is coming. I get to be in a room with all of these wonderful people and sharing the energy and the love. Kyle, have you been to any of the big events?
I did a big event in Utah here. It was more of like a whole Utah gathering, but nothing quite like this. Nothing as international. I guess this is international. So
it is international with people coming from all over the world. And
well, have you been to one with multiple hundreds of people yet?
Yeah, I had like, I think there's like, I'm not sure how many people were there at the Utah one. It was huge all the way out in Salt Lake, and that was a lot of fun.
I
Last
think that was
Christmas.
one that Chad was part of, or he did that one.
Uh,
The sound
he might
bath
have,
guy.
yeah, I know Matt was the guy who did that Flat Earth Math, or Matt. And so
Not
uh,
long or
Matt, I don't remember his last name. I'm sorry. Hill, Matt Hill. That's it. And so, yeah. Taboo Conspiracy was also there. And so that was really fun.
Yeah, Ben's a great guy. I met him in, I think, 2018 in Denver, maybe, or 2019 in Dallas. One of the two.
I want to say we had at least 300 people there. Yeah, but it was.
That's a pretty good size.
Yeah, that's a good turnout.
Yeah,
that's
it
awesome.
was fantastic. It was like very memorable. And so with something like this, it's historic, and that's the big thing. You know, the world is watching us, and they want to see our numbers. And yeah, so missing out on this is like huge.
Yeah, so 300, that's a really good number for a Flat Earth gathering. That's huge. Because my very first Flattoberfest was at the Firmament, and I think we had about a little over 200. It was around 200. And even that was quite a large gathering at that time. So 300, that's really good. Really good. That's good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There will definitely be more than 300 people in Las Vegas, because I've already sold well over 300 tickets.
Good.
But and there's always more people there than the amount of total tickets I sell, because people show up the day of or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always people that come and just hang out. I think at every single event, there have been people that.
Well, that's because we had it at a different venue. Venue isn't like that though. See,
Yeah,
you
this
can't
would be
do
different.
it this way.
You can't just come and hang out in the hotel and yeah.
Yeah, there's been like 2 different events here in Utah that was like statewide basically, and the first one was over at community center, the rec center out in it was like right next to Utah Lake, and yeah, and it was packed, like the whole room max capacity. And then the second one was done at a school auditorium, and that was also just packed, and it was just super fun. So yeah, it's been a good turnout for both of those. And so for something like this, I'm like, yeah, I'm expecting big things, and yeah, really looking forward to it.
All righty. Well, let's move on to Miss Cammie Nodell. I know how Cammie's been doing. But,
how have I been doing? How have I been doing?
You are hanging in there.
I'm hanging in there. It's been just we want to do this, and it has been a puppy week. My puppy last week, we thought got stung or bit by something and had a major allergic reaction, scared me to death, and his whole body like hived out and swollen and itchy and miserable. And we got him into the doctor. He was worried, gave him shots, all kinds of medicines. My dad gets a full bath every other day, and that we got him all back to healthy, got the clean bill of health and beautiful this week. And as we were getting ready for the show today, he went out to the restroom, came, and I think he stepped on a bee or something on the way up, because now he's got like a sting in his paw or that, and it's just going. So then I was wondering, but he's not reacting. He actually laid on his stomach with his paw up and had me ice his paw up for a while, and that now seems to be better. But yeah, it's always something. It's always something.
Yeah, he's definitely had a rough week.
Mm-hmm.
He is feeling better though. Full of the pea and vinegar again.
Don't like it when your little fur babies aren't feeling well. It's hard, and I'm sensitive to anybody like being hurt or injured or that. So I overreact and get over worried. It's a mom thing. But yep, doing good. Looking at the moon yesterday, and tonight I should be able to look at and find it. We should be having
it's due south of us
crescent
right now.
Right, it should be due south, and we should be in a nice waxing crescent, eh? Getting up to not quite the Yep, there it is right there. My little waxing crescent getting better, going towards the half moon. Grew quite a bit from last night, a nice sliver. So I am stepping out and looking at it due south. Follow your moons. You can tell time by them. And that is what we are doing is I'm back visiting the moon. And yeah, I'm facing north here, so I have to walk out the door and look the other way to look south.
And that's one thing that a lot of people don't really realize is you can tell time with the moon. And you can actually chart your location by using the moon. I have a book here. I will grab it right now. It's called Stark's Lunar Tables. Where are you?
That's going to be one that I'm not familiar with because the moon travels at a different speed than the sun does. And so there was a time back when I was in elementary school, I remember I could look at the sun and say, oh, okay, I know exactly what TV show is going to come on at this moment just by looking at the sun. It's like Pokemon is on. Yeah. And so, that was me in elementary school.
So here you go. This is called Stark's Tables for Clearing the Lunar Distance and Finding Universal Time by Sextant Observations. Written by Bruce Stark. And it's really an interesting book. You'll see it's got, your table of contents. It's got your preface. And then making the observation, it just goes through a couple pages of how you do it. And then, it starts. It shows you a little bit of math in here, how to do the math, and then the tables will kick in. Okay, where are they starting at here? It's got some pages for you to like practice doing stuff, and then here it is. So out of this thick book, this is how to do it, and then this are the tables. It's for like every longitude, latitude, for every time of day. But yeah, it's a very the data in here is amazing when you learn how to read all this stuff, and it tells you, you can find out exactly where you are using the moon. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. We always they say, oh, we use the stars and things like that because they don't change and move throughout the sky. But the moon is really similar to the sun. It kind of follows a path and does its thing. We know what it's going to do and the speeds that it's going to move at and things like that. And that's how we're able to tell time or find your location, with the moon and a sextant here. Yeah, it's very interesting. I never tried it. I was never out, not that you have to be out on the ocean, but most of them are for ocean areas. I'm not even sure if it has it for overland. But yeah, very interesting book. If you want to look into it more, it's written by Bruce Stark, and it's just called Stark Tables. So there's one thing that I wanted to share with you guys that I've learned about the moon, just by observations. And then, of course, going through Stellarium and verifying that that's what they claim is happening. And it's interesting because when the moon is at its highest altitude, it appears bigger in the sky to us. So when it rises in the northern hemisphere, as high up, far up north as it can, when you see it rising, like the sun rises to the north in the summertime, or when the moon is doing that, it does it once a month, it'll actually be bigger in diameter by about 13% than it is compared to it when it rises at its furthest southern point. And this
We
is
just barely had that big giant supermoon the other day, and apparently it's not going to be that big again for like another, I don't know how many years.
yeah, it's funny. They say that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
this is a
space
super
lettuce.
rare blood moon, or yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so now this is in direct contrast with what the sun does. So the sun is at its smallest when it's at its furthest northern point. Now it only changes about 5 degrees in the sky, the sun does, throughout the year, where the moon will change about 13% in size throughout the month because it's making its cycle back and forth every month. But I have a video here I wanted to show you of the difference in size.
Okay.
Uh,
So let me recap on what you just barely said there. So you're saying that when the moon is at its farthest point north, it's tropic, right? You're saying that the moon is smallest when it's closest to us, and but the or is it bigger? It's bigger when the moon is
yeah,
closest to us,
they
and
say
then
it's
the sun
closer.
is smaller.
Yeah, well, like if you're looking at the sky and you're facing perfectly east, okay, and then to your north, if the moon rises up here to the, to the north, then you're going to see a bigger diameter moon. Then the same moon, 1 month or 2 weeks later, that rises down here in the south, it will be smaller in diameter. Where the sun in the wintertime for the northern hemisphere, the sun, that's when they say we're closest to the sun, and that's why it's bigger in the sky. I always thought it had to do with the atmosphere.
Uh-huh.
But they say even in Australia, the sun appears bigger in their summer than it does in their winter, which is,
Okay, so the
opposite to
sun
us.
looks a lot bigger to us on the winter solstice, is what you're
Yes.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay. The sun looks a lot bigger to us on the winter solstice, but when the moon is on its winter solstice, you're saying it looks the opposite?
Yes, it'll be at its smallest in diameter.
That's interesting. Yeah,
But
the
the moon
whole
is not on
inverse.
the moon's not really on the winter solstice. The winter traverses the tropics entirely throughout the month.
Yeah, when
Once a
it's
month
at
it will,
its Tropic of Capricorn,
when it's
like
in the
this
Tropic of Capricorn,
winter
but it does it
solstice
once.
for the sun, when it's out there beyond or at the Tropic of Capricorn, when the moon is just a little bit beyond the tropics because it goes a little bit further, that's when it's at its smallest point. So it's
I wish I could document that one because it's so hard to do justice for that on camera. Oh, look at how big the moon is, but really, you can zoom in as much as you want on your
well, no, here you
camera.
go. I'll show
So
you how
it's
here's
really
how I
difficult
did it.
to.
I set my zoom at 60 by zoom
Uh huh.
and I didn't change it, because it's a 60 by optical camera. And you can see the change in the size. It's dramatic, actually. It really is. I give the dates here and everything so people could go back and check to see where
Same
the
zoom on
moon
both
is.
sides, on both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I just set the zoom to the highest optical zoom you could do.
Uh huh.
So 521, 2016 at 8:45. They say that the moon was 250,000 miles away. And then altitude of 7.7 degrees and azimuth was 120 degrees. So it was past 90, well past 90. It was to the south, that first one. And here they say the moon was 226,000 miles away at the time it was taken.
That's the same zoom right there. It's like
Yeah.
filling the screen like even bigger. So
It had an
they're
altitude
saying,
of 8.9 and it was only 83 degrees. So it was rising to the north of east. And the other one was rising to the south. And look at the difference in the size there.
wow, and it's looking a lot bigger when it is farther away. It's like
No,
or the
no, this
opposite.
is, yeah, no, this
Sorry.
is when they say it's at its closest, and this one was at its farthest, 250,000. This one's 220,000. This one rose to the south at 100 and whatever it was, 120 degrees, something like that, and this one rose just north at 100 or 83 degrees. So yeah, and the sun does the opposite. Let me see. I know I have a sun one as well. The sun sizes. Sun and moon at 60 by zoom. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm thinking of elliptical orbits and how it's not just a perfect circle around the Earth, but it's elliptical.
Yeah.
And it's also not perfectly level either. It kind of goes up and down.
So here you go. The sun different sizes from solstice to solstice. So this one was 618, 722. I think I went all throughout the year. 817, yeah, once a month, around the same time of the month. 919, 1014. Yeah, I took a lot of pictures of the sun. 1116. Yeah, I'm sorry about the video editing. I didn't know what I was doing at all back then. These are a lot of my
Old videos. I get that too. I've been looking at like some of like the videos that I really enjoy, like the Modern Earth Science Destroyed videos. I love those videos, but I look back at them like I could do so much better now, and it really gets me motivated to go back and start doing that again. And I found the same textbook updated, and so I'm like, I can do this again with an updated book. Cool, and it's totally free accessible to everyone. And so yeah, that's one more thing I'm looking forward to.
You can see it's just getting a little bit bigger and bigger, and there it'll probably be its biggest difference right here. But yeah, if you watch the changes here. Oh, let's go back just a hair more. They're about the same size back here, right through here. So you have, what is that, 618, right around the solstice. And then you can see that one's about the same size, but they start getting a little bit bigger. There you have 10. There's another 1014. Yeah, I was bad at video editing back then. 1116, that could be lined up a little bit. And then 1219. Yeah, it did kind of look like it got a little bit smaller before it the size until the next solstice, and compare the shots at that time. Okay. But yeah, so the sun does the exact opposite of what the moon is doing. And that makes no sense to me in my brain, unless they are actual objects that are, lowering or changing their altitudes a little bit. What do you think, Cami? Would they have to be? Could it be where we're seeing them?
Well, I keep thinking of a tilted orbit here, and about how instead of viewing it as perfectly level, we actually kind of see it go, more slanted like this.
Yeah, it's weird how the moon, is bigger in the north, and then the sun gets bigger in the south. So are they on like a teeter-totter type of? I don't know.
Well,
I'm
it kind
having
of
trouble seeing it in
rises
my
and
brain. I
falls
can't hear you,
over
Cami, if you're
time.
talking. No, you're not coming through. Are you muted?
Did it lose power?
It may have lost power. Cami went mute.
But I'm just thinking about like solar eclipses and such, and about how you have one behind the other, and so that tells you that they're not on the exact same plane.
Right, because from the ground view, they would have to be at an angle to be one right behind the other. They wouldn't be on a level. It wouldn't be on the same altitude.
Yeah.
One would have to be lower than the other to appear to be one covering the other directly from our point of view.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would make it more like a vortex that kind of goes in and out and up and down.
And I wonder why they're why the size has changed. So when the moon is in the north, it would be closer then, right? To appear bigger.
I'm not really sure exactly the time frame of it. That's something I haven't quite considered documenting yet. As kind of
Well, do you think it could be a higher altitude when it's in the north than when it's in the south?
Well, I was thinking that the moon would be at a lower altitude, and that's why it appears bigger in the north.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, I entirely switched out a different set of headphones. Sorry about that. We'll see how many headphones we can blow up. I definitely, what do I think on it and listening to the rest? I've said what I thought before, that I do believe that we have solid objects, but I don't believe what we're seeing are the actual solid objects. I believe that we are seeing a projection of them, a focal point of them. I've explained before, and we could do this like even with parabolic dishes, and that how you can produce focal points that have like all of the qualities. So I think it's that. As far as the height going higher and lower and the altitudes, when looking at that, I do think that they go higher and lower. I think there's an altitude change with them every month. Like when in the month and again within the seasons, I think it probably has a lot to do with it. The thing about it is that if you're putting it as a projection from a focal point, anytime you do that, like just if you look into a spoon and you go reverse in that, things do get a little bit, you start again, you have to start unraveling what the projection is and is it moving it for you, the properties of it. But I do know that even with the phases, when we talk about phases, phases will create themselves naturally just by, if you follow the circuits of the sun and the moon, the visual of a phase will create itself from the bottom looking up just by adding in a altitude to it, like again having them dance. And where would you could say a reflection, but I would say a reaction, like a UV reaction wherever it causes, but a direct UV reaction. If you move the sun and moon up and down with each other, again you can get all of the phases in that in the dance. And then with the seasons and us getting colder and hotter, I think that we can assume that there is altitude to it. We know in the global model that all of our things go outward. But when you put things into a flat Earth model and you take your tropics, everything is going up and overhead in different layers. And so I think we have to remember that, like, again, these things are, when we see and we perceive, like where they say the wandering stars are, the planets and that, and how they do it, they're not going out from one another or getting further out that way. They just get higher. And the reason that they say this one is further than the other one is you'll see them eclipse each other or cross over, or again, different markings of that. I know that Chris Van Maitre did a lot of work with measuring the sun and getting, like you were showing, the different diameters. I know that I look at the sun and the moon a lot, but to be perfectly honest, between what you see, like looking at it, the horizon and how big they get on the horizon compared to where they are at meridian, and then the seasons and that, they seem to change visually
Yeah.
to
Almost
me
like
enough that,
looking at a fish in water from different perspectives. So
right.
you're going to
So
see it always in a different place than the other person, and you're both not seeing where it actually is.
So those things that you're picking up as far as the differences when it's more north or more south, I don't know if I pick it up as much. I'm fascinated that you're measuring it and it's more data to work with, because it's more than I've noticed with all the other things
Well,
that
yeah,
you're
that was by
noticing.
accident that I figured that out in
And these are the
2016.
keys, these little keys that we are figuring out by accident. I think it's a fascinating piece of information to work with and needs to be put into the model as much and learn more about it. But yeah, I definitely think altitude is not only possible but probable. And I think I've answered most of the questions. Are there any other questions?
No, that's pretty much it. Are you pretty much in the same boat, Karen? That they most likely are changing altitude?
Yeah, I think that's probably, it's possible. I mean, we actually, the moon, we kind of already know does change altitude. Just having the 5 degree whatever tilt, the 5 degree declination from the sun's ecliptic, that kind of tells you right there. It has to change altitude.
I know
When
it's.
mhm.
Oh, go ahead.
in 2000, yeah, in 2015, 2016, when I did the moon cycles and we're figuring out and working with this stuff, and I worked like with Curious Life. I remember Kurt working with him on the different things. And again, what we needed for that model to work was for them to tint in there. But when I was working with the moon cycles and coming up with like that picture you show, Karen, or does anybody, I suppose I could pull it up and show it, that like the moon cycles where it just shows the sun and moon and shows the different rings. You could also pull up lunar nodes and see the scientific one. I picked up our sun and moon models over reading the books. I went into the astrology books. This is, astronomy books, not astrology, but astronomy books. And they were explaining on how in these pictures that you see, where you see, maybe let me just, I guess, bring up, and we'll bring it up from theirs. Let me bring it up and do this. The lunar nodes. Because this right here might help you a lot on the, okay.
I'm not seeing it. Did you?
Hold on, I have
Okay.
to present. I had to get it up here to present it. Hold on one second.
It's okay, Hank Pink. He
And I'm
hears
going to do
people
it
talking.
strange. I'm going to present you guys first. Hold on one second.
No rush. Yeah, Kyle, I saw you shared something in Skype as well. We can bring that up after a video. We will bring that up as soon as
Okay.
Tammy's done presenting.
Okay, do you have this up right now, what I'm at? And I'm only looking at the
Yes.
screen. I don't see what you're presenting. But this, if you do this, I just Googled the term lunar nodes, and you can get a whole bunch of images, and I brought this up, and you'll notice that this is the basis of the picture, Karen, you and I used when doing the phases. And see how these do this? Well,
Yeah.
from the way that these were described in the books, when you actually go through and read them, and they're reading them like looking up at the sky, this is where the moon appears that it's higher than the sun in the sky, and this is where the sun appears like it's closer than the moon. In other words, these are, I don't know if I'll do this, but your nodes are based on where they appear, and they literally will say that during these portions the sun looks like it appears lower in the sky than the moon.
hmm
So again, if you work in the cycles, but they worked it into it. So when I did the let's do, why we're sharing the screen again, because we can, let's just
And I'm
do
having a thought too while you're talking about
Mhm.
that, like with the different types of eclipses, like this coming eclipse that's October 14th is an annular eclipse, right? Where it has the ring around the moon, where you can supposedly see like part of the sun disk around the moon disk. And typically the eclipse will be like a regular eclipse where it's a total eclipse where you don't see. So if the
Correct.
sun and the moon are the same size, then an annular eclipse, in my mind, would be when the sun is behind or when the moon is behind the sun. And then a total eclipse would be when the sun is, or when the moon is below the sun, in front of the sun. Does that make sense? Like the eclipse would
That
work
makes
either
sense.
way because the
Either
two
way,
bodies fields interact the same way.
with
But but
right,
seeing that ring, the ring of fire, well, that would, the only thing that could change that would be the distance of one object to another, right? So
correct.
that's making sense to me, like the moon being at a higher altitude and then going behind the sun during that eclipse, that's the annular. And then the other is the when the moon is at a lower altitude, it's the total regular total eclipse. What a
Or it could
trip.
also, or it could also be, your other one in there is just simply when it does it, if like at certain types of the cycle, if they're like lined up really close together as to another time, if you added more distance between them, you could get the same effect just by dropping the moon a little bit lower, or by doing exactly what you said and moving it to the other side. But you're right, your physics on it would work out the same. You could knock it out and do it all.
And there's no explanation for that in the globe model, right? Like they can't tell
No,
you why
no, they don't
you
have.
see the ring in one eclipse, but then not in another, because the distances they tell you are so great, it should be the same either way.
Exactly, it should wash itself. It should do it. And again, on the things on the descending, I had another note to do it and I forgot on it. But no, you're exactly right on it. But it's always in, before they moved it to the global model, this was below, this was above. You also have in Vedic astrology, when they talk about the eclipses and the new moon and that, they describe the new moon as being under the banes of the sun. They actually talk about, for new moons and eclipses, where it does it, they talk about it going under the sun, under the bands or under the bands of the sun. So that's another thing. And that if it's at such a distance, it's a new moon, but in another distance, you'll start to get eclipses or that, depending on the angles. Again, in every different religion and that, they've moved it out. Nobody thought things were flying around, but what they all had in common was they all had the sun and the moon. And again, this right here is this 5-degree angle. And this picture, we just took I took a lunar node. I'll tell you what I did. I took an exact picture from the lunar node from science, and Karen dropped these on it. The other thing I did was I switched out what I called where the nodes were, because in the nodes on the other one, if we look at it, they're going to call it here, which I'm going to call your pinch points when they're at the exact same type, because on the their type of model on the helio, that's where they would cross over. But if you had the rings going in the way that, if you read how the eclipses and how we perceive where they're higher and lower, by just labeling them here and having it naturally where they flow over, it works using their visuals. If you interpret their visuals literally, it works, instead of taking their visuals and converting it into the globe model.
Whenever they call it a node, that always rings a big bell for me, because I'm always thinking about electronics and about how the nipple on the end of a battery, that's called a node. But at the same time, if you get into the study of plants, you can look at the node on a plant. If you've ever seen like a stem and it kind of goes off and then all of a sudden it branches off into another branch, and you call that a node, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And so the etymology, the study of the word itself is kind of, yeah. Why are they using the same word in so many different ways? We're talking about the moon, we're talking about batteries, we're talking about plants, but it's still called node.
Right, and you and I are going to want to do something called nodal points. I think, Kyle, it's long overdue with handling with all the nodes, and with my last name being Nodal or Nodal.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even see that one.
You didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see that one coming. It was like it was right in front of my nose this whole time, but yeah, didn't see that one.
But yeah, am I still there? Did I close everything? Hold on, I lost y'all. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I hear you. Okay. Y'all talk a minute while I find my screen.
What is that wood engraving called? The Flammarion.
This is the Flammarion, and yeah, and it's an intaglio. They call it the Flammarion engraving, but it's actually better than an engraving. It's done intaglio style, which is even more complicated.
It's like a woodblock carving, if I recall correctly.
Mm-hmm. Right, except for done in it's an intaglio, which, if you think of your raised, again, just the way that they did it was a step above just engraving it in. If you think about if your grandpa had a ring on it with a little a piece of onyx and a knight or something carved into it, except for it wasn't a carving, it was more of a 3D relief type of thing. That's intaglio. It's better.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that a human did this by hand.
Yeah, the skill level and in reverse and everything to do it so it comes out the way that you want it when you dip it in ink and print it out. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Okay, well, while you're looking for that, I'm going to
Okay.
show this quick video. I don't know if you guys have heard of a hybrid eclipse before.
Hybrid eclipse. That's a new
Yeah, isn't that where
new
it
term for
like
me.
starts out as an annual or a total eclipse and turns into an annular or something like that, where it's
Yes.
like
Yes. And this one that we just had, it was between Australia and Asia there. It started off the west coast of Australia, pretty far out on some French island out there. And that was the only place you could see the start of it. And then it went just north of Australia and ended out in the Pacific Ocean somewhere. But it started off as a ring of fire, I believe it did. And then when it got to the center, it was a full eclipse. And then at the end of it, it was a ring of fire again.
that's crazy.
Now, how does that happen?
I don't know,
On
but
the
I
heliocentric
also
model.
since I was thinking out loud earlier when I was talking about the annular versus a total eclipse, I want to strike my previous comment, and after further thought on that, I don't think that idea works. It doesn't explain the annular eclipse. There's something weird going on there.
Yeah. Yeah,
This is very interesting. It makes me start thinking
Karen,
about
this
the
is
sun
the
and the moon
stuff.
again.
Yeah. This is what makes me want to get with you, Karen, and just high point in on these little areas and lock them in. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Stuff
Go.
like this is good to get excited about, right? It's
oh,
the
yeah.
verge of
It's-
discovery. That's
it's
what I
very-
love about the flat Earth.
The sun and the moon are both very perplexing, especially when they start doing stuff together.
And they do this stuff together. They dance
All
together.
the time.
All of the time.
All right, well, I'm gonna play this one. Yeah, but this is the video I did back. I don't even remember when I did this. 3 years ago on the eclipse that just took place. I believe it just took place. Let's see.
Bland, this is Good Times for All, or Zachary Zabala if you prefer. In this video, we will ask the question, does the shadow change size during a hybrid eclipse? At first, we will take a look at the different parts of the shadow that is cast by the moon in the heliocentric model to be cast when we see a partial eclipse. Last, we have the antumbra. The shadow here is lighter.
The light from the sun is parallel.
Okay,
The
here we
next
go.
hybrid eclipse will be April 20th, 2023, and will start and end in remote locations. It begins near the island of Port-au-Prince in the southern Indian Ocean. It will reach its greatest eclipse point just off the island of Timor-Leste and will finish up in the northern Pacific near a cluster of islands occupied by the United States. If we could somehow measure the shadow, even roughly, along the surface at these locations, we may unlock some new ideas on just how this world actually works around us.
Okay, so what I was really asking there was, I didn't get into it changing sizes too much, but like, when it went over North America that one time, they said it was 72 miles wide, I believe they said it was. And now I'm reading on this eclipse that's coming up, it's going to be 130 something miles wide. That's a big difference.
So what is the altitude of the moon supposed to be at that time? Higher or lower?
I'm assuming it's got to be lower for it to be bigger, but that could be wrong.
It could be higher to be bigger.
Closer to the sun. Yeah, I don't know. I need your perspective modeling on this one.
I want to model out. Something I wanted to work out more, but I need an extra pair of hands, which somebody in our audience has promised to help me with. Ms. Shauna, thank you very much. Even though I've done a lot of modeling in the parabolic dishes, I have not modeled multiple objects, if you make one higher and one lower, how it do, in other words, I know if you put it on the left side, it crosses over to the right, but if I put it one higher and one lower, how will they project if I add different things of altitude in there? Just a thought. Again, it's part of lining things up visually and actually modeling it.
Yeah, I know there was a gentleman I met at one of your Flattoberfest, Karen, and he was gonna pay me to do this. Like, he wanted to get a big giant spotlight as the sun and do it on like a football field and have a ball that would be the size of the moon and then another one the size of the earth and see which way what was it? It had to do with the movement of the shadow.
Oh, the direction of the shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
See
so much the
the
direction, it's the movement of the shadow, because they say the Earth is spinning faster than the moon is moving, but the moon is supposed to be moving this way in the opposite direction.
right.
And he was just saying that we should see some kind of change in the time where it should almost like pause for a second. You know, like when they're moving because of the way it's doing it. I don't know how he. Yeah, he had a good argument for that. The way they say that it's happening and works shouldn't look the way it does. There should be something else that takes place in there. And he wanted me to model it to verify it, but that's one of those that's hard to do. We want to do it on a gear system at first and have it all set up perfect. But a gear system that's 100 yards long. I mean, yeah,
Well, and you know, and to play devil's advocate, the globe side would just be like, well, this Earth has an atmosphere. There's no atmosphere in
yeah,
space. There's,
yeah.
this is causing light diffraction, blah, 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 blah. You know, that's just
And
what I would
they
say
always
happening.
have those outs.
Right. Which is why I love to talk about there's no curvature. But boy, do they love to get away from that ASAP.
Yeah. Did you see any of the debates that have been going on recently?
No.
I know Jaron started up a new debate thing. I know they're on so late for me.
Yeah, I saw that, and yeah, he's late for me too, man. I am the old lady going to bed early, and Tuesday is my late night.
Yeah.
So I
Go see
haven't.
those because that's like my time. I'm the graveyard guy, so
I'd have to watch it on a replay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, it's I don't know how some people like Kyle can do it, talk to the trolls and have the discussions with them. I mean, I did it years ago, but I quit very quickly. I have trouble when I believe somebody is not being genuine to give them any of my attention. When I feel someone is just pulling my chain and just trying to get a rise out of me, the last thing I'm going to do is oblige them. You know?
Right? It's
I
like,
hear you there, 100%, 100%. When they're just being an absolute troll, and I really try to avoid that kind of stuff, and that's where I try to build positive relationships when I
yeah.
can.
That's
But
why I
if they're
started
just gonna act
calling
like a
trolls
troll and
time
strawman
wasters.
everything I say, then yeah, whatever.
Time wasters. That's why I started calling them time wasters. Oh, you're a time waster. Bye.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're like on a more of a public debate, people can see that. They can see how
Right.
disingenuous they are compared to you, and so it's good to be the better person.
All right. Well, we're going to play this video, Kyle, that you shared.
Okay.
This is the Flat Earth Institute of Science. This is one of your videos, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I try to involve my kids as much as I can.
That's awesome.
It's one of my ambitions right there, is trying to get them more involved in this and spend more time, because that's my weakness. Is I need to give more time to my kids, and yeah,
That's not a weakness. Yeah, that's a strength.
No. It's a weakness when I don't give enough time to my kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I need to find more excuses to get them involved, and this is kind of
That's
one of
awesome.
those attempts.
There you go. All right, here we go. and then we'll have a discussion about it afterwards, and then we'll probably wrap it up about 8:30ish, somewhere around there, I'm thinking. So we'll keep that in the back of our minds, and here we go.
To found ourselves in observation and experimentation, we're going to start today off with a little experiment. Here, this light bulb is going to represent our moon, and this sheet is going to represent some clouds in front of the moon. All right, now here our light bulb is really close to the sheet. Now we're going to go ahead and move it away from the sheet and look for the difference. Here's a picture of when our light bulb was next to the sheet. And here's a picture of when the light bulb was away from the sheet. All right, Melody, what major differences do you spot between these two pictures?
Well, I noticed that the light bulb, when it's closer, then it's brighter, and then when the light bulb is farther, then it's dimmer.
Okay, that's a good observation. Do you see any other differences?
That it looks smaller when it's farther away, and then bigger when it's closer.
Okay. What major differences do you see in the sheet itself?
Well, when I actually pay attention to it, I actually noticed that when the light bulb was closer, then the sheet became darker. And then when it was farther away, it seems lighter, like brighter.
Okay, good observations. Now, here's a picture of the moon with some clouds in front of the moon. Do you think our picture of the moon looks more like the light when it was up close to the sheet, or like the picture when the light was far away from the sheet?
I think it looks like the farther away picture because the moon is dimmer and it's not as big.
What about the clouds themselves? Do you see how the light, when it's farther away, look at the entire sheet. Remember how you pointed out the entire sheet and how that looked different compared to the light up close? What do you think about that?
Well, it kind of looks like darker, so I'm not actually really sure. Well, actually, when I look at it, the clouds is like bright in the middle, and then it gets like darker and darker.
So does that look more like the picture on the left or the picture on the right?
I think it's like the left now.
All right, here's a different picture where you can't quite see the moon as well. What do you think about this one? Left or right?
Left.
What makes you say that?
Well, it's bigger and brighter.
How about the clouds themselves? Do the clouds themselves look more like the picture on the left or the picture on the right?
I still think the left.
Okay, what makes you say that?
Well, because the top of the higher clouds look darker, and then it looks brighter when you go like lower, closer to the moon.
All right, now here's a third picture. Note how we can actually see the moon through the clouds here. So it's kind of like there's no sheet right there. So we're just looking at the clouds here. Do these clouds look more like the picture on the left or the picture on the right?
Well, I think the left because it's darker, and in the picture, the clouds are darker. So I think the left.
Okay, I think you've got some great observations here.
I actually think that the light up close picture and the moon picture actually look very alike because the clouds are very dark, just like the light up close picture, but the sheet it looks more like a sheet, and then the clouds look more like clouds.
Did you know that NASA claims that the moon is 238,900 miles away?
Wow. I don't actually know if that's true or not, because they lie about a lot of stuff.
So if the moon was really far away, what should those clouds look like?
Well, if the moon is so far away, then all of the clouds should be brighter and white, like in the light farther away picture.
So how far away do you think the moon actually is?
Probably I don't actually know, pretty far away. but I don't actually think it's that far away, as NASA says it is.
Okay, that's a good answer. Do you think it's close enough that planes might have to worry about bumping into it?
No, I don't think it's that close.
Yeah, neither do I. Otherwise, it would have been really easy to visit the moon, right?
Yeah, super.
Well, thank you for your thoughts on that. There is still a whole lot out there that we still don't know about the moon, but it sure is fun to investigate.
This video is brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science.
Thank you all for watching. To check out more of our videos investigating the world around us, come check out our playlist. We've got over 100 different videos there, and each one is, for the most part, under 15 minutes long. Fun stuff. Love getting the kids involved there.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great.
I love how you were just asking questions and then asking, well, why do you say it like that? That's awesome.
Yeah. Do you know, that's like one of the things that got me going because when I first stumbled upon, Flat Earth, obviously my children were still really young, like they were very young. And I was talking to and my son and I were outside and the moon was outside, the moon was out during the daytime. And this is before I even started talking to my children about anything like that. My son looks at the moon and he's like, Mom, if the moon is in space, how come we can still see it? And I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, holy shit, that's a really good question. And I don't know why I never asked it myself.
Yeah. From the mouth of babes.
Yep.
I
We
think
learned so
the
much.
secret to solving it, and I know that where I learn the most is from children or trying to approach things childlike, completely approaching them childlike and modeling and touching and doing things, not being afraid that it looks silly or stupid, or that just, again, that wonderful curiosity that the children have without the adult ego of, no, I have to say it and have it exactly right and be smarter than everybody else. If we want to learn, we have to open ourselves up to the ideas and looking at it through the child's eyes. This made it count for me. This is why I'm doing it, is for the children. What a bright video, and what a wonderful way of looking at it. And people, keep in mind, this is the channel that YouTube just took down with all of these videos. If you're not familiar with Kyle, he's not vulgar. He's not
about as
cruel.
nice as you can be. Yeah.
I try to be.
And this is what we're up against, is they're taking down channels like this. That has to tell you right now how targeted and what's up, but how many people. I do know that everywhere I go, I'm running into more and more flat earthers, and the more and more flat earthers I'm running into, they have no idea about YouTube. We do YouTube, and we want to delve in on this, but ways to meet people, like on campuses that he's talking about, in person, trying to get out there, the different channels and venues. Again, YouTube is doing everything they can not to promote. We keep this up and we get together, but again,
the way our YouTubes thrive is through these in-person associations where we actually get out there and talk to people.
I agree with that. I know I thrive in that situation. That's my favorite. Everybody has got their favorite. My husband was a rock star on YouTube of being able to present. I mean, he truly, truly was a great teacher to a lot of people and had that element into it. But everybody has different ways to approach different people, and everybody learns from different people. Like, for instance, the nastier a debate is, the less I learn, and the more I tune it out and I block it in my mind if people start calling names. And that some people are like really enthusiastic and go. It's almost like a boxing match or that too. I've never liked boxing matches where people punch each other into the ground, even though there's skill in that, because it's not my style. Everybody gets flat earth through a different style. So keep in mind, if somebody's not putting it out the way that you like, a lot of the times there is somebody as many
Mhm.
ways there are to put it out. There's somebody that likes that needs
Mhm.
that approach. So we really need to get different approaches, hand on
There's
videos, on
there's a lot
radio,
of
Yeah.
on
different niches
in
out there, right?
person. Yes.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of niches that need to be filled. So
Mhm.
yeah.
And
You
I still
never
like
know.
putting out, the little cards everywhere. I remember when we first had it, I'd go to the bank and put in the little cards between every deposit slip and things like that. Again, everywhere you go, just put it out there. The world has really changed a lot in these last 10 years, 7 years, or however long we've been doing this. A
Yeah.
change is happening. We're tired now, but let's make the hill and make it further. We're winning. I mean, who would have thought? Who would have thought in 2015 that YouTube would be and the world would be centering us? And who would have thought?
Yeah, there's a real war going on right now, and
Mhm.
yeah, and we've got them rattled. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's end the show by talking about a video that Cami showed me over the week. And it's about how everybody underestimates the stupidity of human beings. And this is something I think about quite a bit, watching a lot of these videos on YouTube and stuff about just asking people questions on the street, very simple, basic questions, and how out of, and I don't want to say out of touch with reality, because I'm sure their reality, they can name you all the Kardashians and all these things, and that's their reality. So, but what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter where you go. You can be on the green pastures of Harvard University, or you could be up at the Trailer Park Boys Trailer Park, Sunnyvale, and you're going to find the same amount of stupid people in both places.
Yeah,
And we
I've
really
been
underestimate that. We do.
I've been over there doing interviews over at the college near me over at Utah Tech, and I've been shocked at just like you're talking to a lot of different undergrads over there, and I'm just shocked. But it's crazy just how much flat Earth has changed me since I was attending school over there years ago. Because I'm talking to students over there, it's like, yeah, light from the sun isn't parallel because that's what causes penumbra and antumbra. They're like, what's penumbra? I'm like, I'm over here in the science department, like the Earth and Space department, okay, like the engineering department, and they're asking me what penumbra is. I'm like, what? So, but yeah, back before I became a flat earther, I didn't care about any of that stuff. I didn't have any of that kind of stuff memorized. But yeah, flat Earth really changes you, and it starts getting you pain to it helps you start remembering things and paying attention to all the little fine details, and it really uplifts your vocabulary when it comes to a lot of these scientific terms. The more you're into it, just the more you pick them up, and it just seems natural to you.
Well, it reignites that spark for learning and that wonderment that you have when you're a child, but then it gets squashed out and stomped out by the
Absolutely.
indoctrination system and all the lies they tell you, and you're like,
Yeah, it makes you feel
oh,
stupid because
because you don't
it doesn't
understand
make
it.
sense. Yeah, none of it
Absolutely,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like, okay, they're
I was
smarter
so
than me, I
shocked
guess.
at a lot of the interviews I did. I did 24 interviews yesterday, and I was so baffled by how many people were among the whole, well, if my textbook says it, it must be true kind of mentality. And it's just
Right.
like,
Why would
yeah,
they lie?
yeah. I was so baffled by it. It's just like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
I was still. Oh, I was going to
no,
say
go
I
ahead.
was still get baffled. I have a 20-year-old son, and we talking like I'll go back on something. So I went back with him and was talking about the Romanovs and Rasputin, and he looks at me like wide-eyed and pie-eyed, and he's like, "Who?" I was like, the Romanov dynasty. Did they not teach you this in school? And he was like, "No." And I am still in awe, same with cursive writing or with anything, that again, how they jacked us, that again, for somebody going to school in the 70s that I had just assumed that public school, that they would be teaching children like a little bit of facts or history or different things, right? And when I go and see what they've been teaching, he said basically the school was pretty much all about civics and a lot of gender stuff and things like that. And it's amazing. And they tell them not to tell their parents about it. But now looking back through this, it's totally shocking. Again, that they could do this, and I'm just figuring out as a mother now. So if you think again going to school that the kids have the same curriculum, Karen, you're seeing that now. But again, just something to pay attention to.
Yep.
Yeah. One of my big interview questions for yesterday was, do you ever feel like the Scantron forces you to lie? If they tell you an answer like the sun is 93 million miles away on average, and that you're expected to just say that or get docked, is that forcing you to lie? And
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Because like when homeschooling, you know, I have to, one of the things, you know, I can teach them. I don't have any required curriculum or anything I have to give them, but I have to give them a aptitude test at the end of every year, right? To make sure that they're at least meeting the requirements, right? Or whatever their purposes of it. But you know, when I'm giving them these tests, they're like, "Mom, look at this. It says asking about blah blah blah, like the sun," and I'm like, "Just answer it the way that they expect you to answer it." And I'm literally telling them to just tell the
Lie.
test what it wants to hear,
Yeah.
right? Because what else am I going to do? If I tell them to answer it correctly, their scores are going to get docked.
So
Just
if you
like
say
you
something you
said,
don't believe in, that is a lie.
you know?
And so yeah,
Well,
and
it's
they're
just like the
expecting you to
judicial
lie.
system. What do they tell you to go in there? Even if you know you're guilty, and it's not like a major infraction, it could be, you know, some kind of traffic something or other. They tell you to go in there and say not guilty. If you admit it and you just tell them the truth, oh yeah, I did that, they throw the book at you.
Yeah.
They want you to go get a lawyer and say not guilty and make a
And
plea and all this stuff so they have a job and they have a
spend
purpose.
money.
Yes, it's all
Spend
about
money.
revenue generation.
Yep.
The
And
world could
also,
be so much
yeah,
simpler.
and keeping in place in that, I do remember the things on the homework where, like, if my son would get things wrong on the homework and we couldn't figure it out, we'd go in and ask why, what's wrong with this. And I sat there looking at the teacher, who looked at me straight face and says, "You're just overthinking this. It doesn't matter on the homework if they get them right or wrong. We mark them. I can't tell you what the right answer is on here, but it doesn't matter. You get 100% just by completing it." So it just, my son's overlooking it. He's like, "Really?" He intentionally got the next every question wrong because he explained to me it didn't matter, because they told him it didn't matter. But yeah, the things I teach is you fill in the blanks on this. This doesn't matter.
Yeah, and to answer a question in chat, would you recommend teaching your kids both sides and let them decide? Yeah, I taught my children both sides, and my reasoning wasn't to let them decide because, well, my reasoning was you're gonna learn both sides so that you know why one is wrong and one is correct. That was my reasoning. So
Absolutely.
you can do it to let them decide or whatever you want to do, but you're not doing them any favors by keeping the globe information from them, because most people are going to be believing that model. So if you teach them both, then they're going to know both models. They're probably going to know the globe model better than their friends do, and they're going to know why it's wrong, and they're going to be able to explain why it's wrong. That's what
Yeah,
you
we
really
choose flat Earth
yeah.
because of education, not because of a lack thereof.
What they
Yes.
should be teaching the kids on here and going through the textbooks, and anybody of age, is that your textbooks or your science is what they think are the correct answers in that slice of time. There has never been a slice of time that we have not gone back and made fun of them for their answers. There has never been, like that little talk I had with my son about Rasputin and the Romanovs. That was about aspirin. And you're like, how was that about aspirin? That was about aspirin because now, if the people in here, if they actually did go to school and know that, like, Rasputin was revered by the family because he was helping their little boy who had hemophiliac. He was a hemophiliac, and all the other kids around that were dying much younger than that. And this guy seemed to have a better job healing them. Well, they're now saying that his healing powers are most likely attributed to the fact that he disregarded the medical advice of the day that you gave these children aspirin, which is a blood thinner, which is the last thing you want to give a hemophiliac. But that's what science said.
Hemophiliac is someone who bleeds a lot. Is that right?
Right. So you don't want to give them a blood thinner. So yeah, they bleed out. They can't clot blood. But at the time, of course, if you were in heavy pain and you were swollen and you had this miracle drug aspirin, you want to give them a whole bunch of aspirin because that is the science. You learn by it. So again, you take the slice of science. Now they're saying the science is the aspirin probably helped a lot of these children onto an early death because it was, in retrospect, the worst thing that you could have done. And right now in our books, we're saying that in retrospect, that's probably why Rasputin had good luck with him by keeping him away from the doctors. Every bit of it, we look at the Queen Victoria, they say went crazy because of her vanity and putting the lead-based paint on her face to make it white and flawless because you wanted to look pale, and now we're like a silly fool. She put lead on it and it made her crazy. How could she be so crazy? What do you think people are going to say about us, about our lip injections, about our butt injections, about our fake boobs? Or I mean, before we even go into changing the genders and that, what do you think in
Right? All
50
the
years
freak show
people are going
stuff.
to come? What kind of medical things do you think is going to come out of all of these butt implants and that? How good do you think this is going to go?
I
So yeah,
cannot
retrospect.
imagine.
But in science, it's
The
very
butt
safe right
implants
now.
is
Yeah, the
killing
butt.
me
Yeah,
right now.
right. So I'm saying that, like, you can
Oh,
sit
this
there and
world is so
argue
twisted.
science or argue knowledge, but I can tell you that knowledge, anytime you switch 10 years in the, you go take anything from 20 years ago, 50 years ago, or that, you can sit in there and make fun of how stupid are they. Why are we so egotistical that, where did we forget that? Where did we, like, again, and at every given time we were egotistical and thought that we knew more than all the previous generations. I think I'm watching TV from the 50s, 60s, and I honestly have to say that we're not smarter. Not when you fully evaluate. We might have, our computers might have more technology, more monitoring things and things like that, but people on a whole are not smarter. They've taught the
Smartphones
common
don't
sense.
make you smart.
Right, and they've taught skills out of us and have taught us none of the skills, even cooking and things like that, have no meaning or any importance to us. They've really sold us a
Placebo.
material, and placebo, and we've bought into it instead of family, all of the good stuff. But let's see, I am such a drag. Somebody else, Zach, go ahead. We were saying good night as we're playing. Oh, the Fortnite. Look at the game on there. The A Spot of Happiness. This is so beautiful. Hello, Chris Van Maitre.
Yeah, just going around showing everybody all the different names and stuff. Just showed yours and Karen B's, and Kyle's over in the Alps.
Iron Realm Media.
Yeah. We got Just Jack, Flat Earth.
Rob Glow says, how do you have a map like that on Fortnite? I didn't know you could customize your own maps. I haven't played before, though. Rob Glow, they didn't customize. Zach and Nemo and everybody, there's a blank canvas. They have drawn this map and put all of the trees, every hill, this has been a passion project going on for quite a long time at the house. And if you look at all of the detail, it's a big, big realm.
Yeah, it's here. I'll show it one more time and then we'll get out of here.
Let's do a walkthrough of it, and let's go by Karen and that, can we, before we go?
From the
This is
top
so fun.
view. Yeah.
Top you down and then drive through.
So there you go. You can come up here. You got your ice wall around the edge, the water's beyond. And then you can look. There's New Zealand, Australia, Asia, Europe, the Middle East, Africa, the United States, and South America.
And this is now on Fortnite, and you just need a code to get in. That's it, right?
Yep.
It's open
If
public for anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to my channel, the code is on my last live stream.
Cool.
And we'll go take a look at Karen B again real quick and Cammy's. Yeah, Kyle is, oh, I can't see him yet.
And
He'll
if
pop up
anybody
here.
watching is an Iron Realm fan, I put a link in the chat for the GoFundMe for Iron Realm needs a new stream computer so they can keep streaming. Excuse my hiccups. But I just, if you can throw $5, $10, help them get a new streaming machine.
Why is, oh geez, that took
This
forever to
is-
load. There it is.
Liz was in the chat earlier, but I imagine she might be sleeping by now at her garden. But there's Kyle Adams looking big.
Yeah.
Liz's garden. It's just a pretty place to be because I like gardens.
Me too.
And we'll go check out Karen B and Cammy's sign, and then we will get out of here, folks. But yeah,
We
we're
have to
thinking
do
of releasing
GLOBEBUSTERS
it like
too.
this weekend, maybe. I'm done. I'm done putting stuff in the map. Yeah, I'm done. 3
So-
months.
Yeah, there are stores, Rob Glow. There are definitely stores in here. We've got stores in Mexico, I think, a Carcenita or a Cantina. I'm not quite sure.
No, it's a
Groceria or a
yeah, it's a grocery store. There actually was one down in Argentina. Here we have the Flat
Argentina.
Earth Yacht Club. That's Dave's yacht club that he has out there by his boat. Got Brian Stavely there. We've got Miss Karen B in big letters
Yeah.
up on the Appalachians. Flat Earth Festival sign. Aisling 717 right there. But yeah, there's all kinds of flat conspiracy music guru on this side. Iron
We
Rail
are on
Media
GLOBEBUSTERS, so
here.
you do have to show the GLOBEBUSTERS.
Yeah, I
'cause
will.
We are officially on the GLOBEBUSTERS channel.
Research Lake Pontchartrain Bridge, little stuff like that all over the place.
And he's flying with the static charge with the balloons. He's ballooning like a spider.
Yeah. Jeranism over here on the West Coast. We have Flat Earth Pizza, and a lot of these places are real. There's a Flat Earth Concrete, Flat Earth Pendants, Flat Earth Coins. There's the GLOBEBUSTER sign. We have Flat Earth Farms up here, another real place. Of course, Benjamin
It's cool
Balderson
seeing it
here in
with all the lightning
California.
going around. Yeah.
And Daryl Davis's sign in front of Flat Earth Farms. We
And
have Mark
Iron Horse. I think
Sargent's-
Karen answered, how does he maintain inertia while drifting on the balloon? He's spidering it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, got the mercy. He is flying like a spider. He's
Totally. Which goes with the flat earth theme.
Spider-Loon.
Then we have Mount Meru here at the center. Chris Vick, he wants to make it bigger and more, like have like a big something there that really stands out.
But isn't this beautiful?
This is so cool.
Yeah, it turned out
I'm really
all right.
happy that it's all public now because, yeah, all of my kids and their friends, they are pretty into Fortnite.
Yeah, we
Your
were
garden
playing it and we
stinks,
were having
Daryl. Daryl
we're-
doesn't like his garden.
You don't like your garden? Well, we will have to remedy that.
He says, my garden stinks. I don't think that means he doesn't like his garden.
Oh, maybe stinky gardens are good gardens.
I think a stinky garden is a good garden.
Good garden. Oh, Daryl.
Yeah, we'll
my
go.
blonde-
I'll
my
show you
blonde is
Daryl's
showing.
garden. It's yeah, I really don't want to say
Getting
too
dark.
much. I mean, yeah, we'll just say I'll show you Daryl's garden. It's beautiful.
Sweet.
It's his bamboo garden. Right? Wow, it's taking forever to load stuff in right now. I don't know why.
And tomatoes.
Yeah,
Yes, of
tomatoes.
course. So there is Daryl's garden.
Cilantro.
Yep.
I don't like
Oh my goodness. Flat Earth Farms, folks. But yep, it's just about done. Nemo might do a little bit more grass, just putting in little shrubs and stuff up here. This is like the only area that doesn't have grass and stuff like that, but it is all snow, so it really doesn't need it. But yeah, so it should be out this weekend. You can play it right now, but it's hard to get a room full of people. I still haven't played it with 30 people in the map. I'm hoping, kind of excited to see if we can't fill it up. But with all the flat earthers out there and all of them that do play Fortnite, I don't think we should have too much of an issue. So yeah, that's it, folks. We are going to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you learned a little bit of something about the moon. I know it's weird. As we talk about the moon, I have all of these thoughts come back from, like my videos were from 2016. So that's like 7 years ago when I was really studying this stuff and trying to get it all ironed out. And now I just forget a lot of that stuff. And then when I do remember it, it's when we have these discussions like this.
Keep the fire going.
Yeah, we got to keep that fire going. Bring new people in, have new conversations, new ideas to share. So if you guys have anything that you'd like to add, please drop it down in the comments below. What do you got, Kyle?
I was just thinking about how a lot of the questions I had with the interviews about the Scantron and being forced to lie, a lot of that is coming actually because I'm actually going to school again, believe it or not. I'm back in college. I'm going to go back and get my second bachelor's degree. And so, I'm doing it through BYU now. I got my first bachelor's degree over at Utah, over what's now called Utah Tech over there, which is pretty close to me, but now I'm doing it through BYU, and it's pretty fun. And they've got this whole mentor for me, and I will tell you this, I have never had so much fun going to school before. Just like letting them know, hey guys, I'm a flat earther, and just like right up from the beginning.
That's funny, Kyle. What do you have a major, or what are you doing? Are you doing something specific, or what is it?
Well, I just started, I wanted to go take some family history classes to take my skills to the next level. I was talking to David Weiss there a little while ago, and I really wanted to help him get his family history going back further, because I was kind of bumping into some dead ends, but I'm like, I feel like I could do so much more. I just need the skills to do that. And so I'm going to polish up my skills and take my family history skills to the next level there. But then there's all this other stuff I want to get into too. I'm like, I'm just kind of the fat kid at the all you can eat buffet. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go get some more of this over there too. And so it's all kinds of stuff.
That's really interesting. I think you're probably better equipped than most college students because you are aware that you're not going to just believe everything you're being told, right? Like you're going to ask questions probably more so than like a new student would coming into, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's cool. That'll be good.
Like
it'll be good for younger people to be in class with you and to see you challenging stuff.
I'm telling you, it's like every class I'm in, because they've got me doing this kind of, in order to get a really good deal on tuition, they're having me go through this back to school, like boot camp, I guess you could call it. Just refreshing on like the basics, and like, this is how you write a paragraph. This is how you write your essay, and kind of what the expectations are. I'm like, I've already been through all this. Can I just test out of it? No, you can't test out of it. Not if you want your really good deal on tuition. I'm like, okay, fine. So yeah, they're asking me like some basic paragraphs, and it's like learning how to learn. Like, what is it like? Asking good questions. I'm like,
is it pre-indoctrination, indoctrination?
I don't know. It's interesting. So I'm just kind of like, oh, you want me to ask good questions and write a paragraph about what that means. And be like, I will write a paragraph about that for you. Let me tell you. So I'm like, okay, well, when it first came to my first round getting my bachelor's degree, I didn't ask good questions. And so because of that, I had a weak foundation. But when I started asking, after I got my bachelor's degree, that's when I started asking the good questions. And that's where I realized how weak my foundation was before. And that's what made it really easy to abandon the globe earth model and become a flat earther. And so it's like every teacher I have, I'm just letting them know right up front. And like I've got a peer mentor. It's like, tell me about your academic goals and what you really want to learn. Like, well, let me tell you about what I want to learn right now. So these are my goals. And so I straight up told my mentor all about the whole stars and how stars are formed. NASA claims that stars are formed by gas clumping together in the vacuum chamber or in the vacuum of space. And like, how does that work? And so just telling them straight up, and man, I am telling you, I have never had so much fun going to school before. It's just, yeah, it's every get together and every class is just like a huge highlight. It just makes me smile like ear to ear.
Right on. Right on, Kyle.
So, yeah.
Well, all righty, folks. We are going to wrap it up here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the show and may have learned something. I know I had some revelations come back to me that I hadn't thought about in years from after the last show and just thinking about it and stuff. And it almost makes me want to dive back into it, but I still have that little voice in the back of my head saying, remember how you almost went crazy trying to figure out what the moon is? Maybe not. Maybe just have chats about it and stuff. Let's not dive in head first like last time. So I don't know, maybe we'll see what happens. If yeah, if Cammie is doing the show next week, you know that I'm in an insane asylum somewhere. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's show. Remember, everything in moderation, folks. This stuff, there's certain things I don't think we're supposed to know. And when you set your goal on trying to figure those things out, just be prepared to be, let down a little bit. You can learn a lot. You can, get lots of pieces to the puzzle, but it's a very hard puzzle to solve. The moon and the sun and the luminaries themselves. So, in my opinion, just be grateful that they're there, and they help make this place what it is. That's how I look at them. I just try to really appreciate whatever they're doing in this place to make it work the way it does and allow me to, exist. I'm enjoying this life, this thing called life. It's, it's what you make it. So,
Absolutely.
we are going to get, oh, go ahead.
I just want to say, use code Thanks Bob. Thanks Bob for 10% off your Flattoberfest ticket. If you still need to get your ticket, thanks Bob, 10% off. Going till the event happens.
Awesome sauce.
Another thing to mention is on Sunday night we premiered the Flattoberfest movie from last year, and somehow I messed up on the upload or the playing it, or we had a power. I'm not quite sure what happened here, but it cut off after 1 hour. 1 hour and 2 minutes. It was a 2-hour premiere. So people that were watching it and got cut off, I apologize on that. And we're going to premiere it again this Sunday, again at 7 o'clock in its entirety, if I can figure it out.
All righty. Keep your eyes open for that one. We hope to see you all at GLOBEBUSTERS Sunday. Remember, be good to each other. Don't lie to each other. Open your mind because there's truth inside. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Peace. Vegas, baby.
Vegas.
Keep your fire burning. Let your light so shine.